Hey dudes, welcome to another video. This time I'm going to be reviewing a Jason Blaha video. I've had a few people telling me I should check his videos out because he's got some good information. And before this, I really didn't know much about him, so I didn't have really high expectations, to be honest. But after watching a few of his videos, yeah, I've got to say he has some good information. He does give out some good training information, but he also has a lot of biases, being a strength trainer and natural, which is quite a common thing and is hindering the information he's putting out, I think. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to the video.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast chat. And yes, there'll be two of these today. I have a client I have to work with at 5 a.m., so I won't be going back to bed. I need to stay up this morning. So I thought I'd knock a second one of these out.
Can someone explain to me why he's eating his breakfast while he's doing a video, speaking, and also eating and slurping his cereal? Can he not eat his breakfast before or after the video? Is this just his thing that he does? I don't understand.
And something I need to hit home on, because this came up in a question in my comments. I had someone say, hey Jason, you're telling people that they are generally going to need to bulk to gain muscle. And for those who don't know what a bulk means that you gain body weight. In other words, if you weigh 160 pounds and you want to gain muscle, you're probably going to have to gain 5 pounds. You're probably going to have to go to 165. Probably have to go to 170.
Okay, for a start, he's not saying what body fat this person is. He's just saying if you wear so-and-so weight and you want to gain muscle, you probably have to go to this weight. That's not true. If you are overweight already, then there's no need for you to gain weight to gain muscle. Why do you need to do that? If you're at 20% body fat and you want to gain 5 pounds of muscle, 10 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds of muscle, you don't need to gain any weight on the scale. You need to lose weight. You can lose weight and gain muscle at the same time if you're overweight. The more overweight you are, the easier you will find it to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. So your weight will be going down on the scale while you'll be gaining muscle. So right off the bat, that is not true.
In other words, in order for you to gain muscle tissue, you will have to gain body weight. You will have to gain body weight. And in some cases, to gain it at a significant rate, you'll have to gain some body fat. I'm not telling you to get fat, but gaining some body fat's normal. And at a certain level, you may even have to gain a pound of fat for every pound of muscle that you gain to gain it at any appreciable rate, and you just diet the body fat off later. Now, Greg Doucette is apparently telling people that you don't need to bulk to gain muscle. You don't have to. It's a bad idea. Well, the problem is that Greg doesn't practice what he preaches. He's not gaining any muscle. I'll get to that in a minute of why that's a problem. But, people say, well, why single out Greg? Well, number one, he's giving false information.
The reason, I'm speculating, but the reason that Greg's not gaining any muscle lately is because he's not running the drugs he used to get to his biggest weight in the past. So if he's not running the drugs he used to get to his biggest weight in the past, then what makes you think he's going to gain weight after he's not taking those drugs anymore? He's already been at his biggest weight due to the drugs. The drugs helped get him to that highest body weight. You can't just take the drugs out of the equation, get on TRT, and then keep increasing your body weight every month, every year, back up to that freaky size you got when you were on all the drugs. It doesn't work like that.
Number two, I got really miffed at that Good Morning video that he did, and I knocked his dick in the dirt. Tons of people came in. There were people who said, wow, I'm a fan of Greg, and you pretty much destroyed him. You destroyed him. He came over to argue with me about it, and the guy is such an ignoramus. And you guys can go watch both of those Good Morning videos and look at his replies in the back and forth. Anyone who doesn't believe me, he is such an ignoramus that he could not even formulate a remotely coherent or cohesive argument against the points I made, because I destroyed him on it. He couldn't even create a counter argument. He just babbled and would change the topic because he's basically a fucking idiot. That appears to be the reality. Because when
don't mince your words, mate, will you? Jesus Christ. Okay, carry on.
Anyone who's argued with him has noticed this. He's not even capable of defending his position. Right? He's not capable of it. And we come back over to the bulking thing. He's telling people this. Well, number one, it's like, Greg, you've probably been enhanced your entire training career. You probably don't even...
Okay, if you've ever watched if you've ever watched Greg's Natty or Not videos, he's done one on himself. He shows clearly the progression of his lifting career through the years with photos at every point. It's clear to anyone with a brain that he was natural for a long time before he jumped on gear, and it's clear when he did jump on gear. He made a clear jump in progress in a very short space of time when he's already been training for years and years and years as a natural. That's not normal. That's not normal for people even who've been taking gear for years. If you'd taken gear before, Jason, you would know that this is bullshit. A lot of naturals seem to think that they know things about taking gear when they've never taken it themselves, which is just ridiculous to me. What makes you think that you know about something you've never even done yourself? You're going off anecdotes, you're going off hearsay on the internet, and a lot of it is just bullshit.
Even work with drug-free athletes. He's been caught doping before. He's been caught on drug tests and been kicked out of events for it. I'm saying this as someone who keeps up with the research, and most of my athletes that I coach are drug-free. I have exceptions, but 80% of my lifters, my athletes, people I coach, are completely drug-free, okay? And this idea that you're going to gain significant amounts of muscle without gaining body weight is not realistic. It is not realistic. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And we're not talking about ranked novices, because even then, a ranked novice can recomposition. Someone who's new to putting stuff into their body, they go to the dark side, they can recomposition. And you up the amount you're taking, you can recomposition. Right? No one's arguing these points. But when someone is no longer a ranked novice, or they're not at a high body fat, this isn't going to work. You're going to have to gain weight. And when you take a skinny kid, because that seems to be who his audience is. Greg has a bunch of skinny kids. If you have a skinny kid, let's say they're 5'9", average height.
His audience is just a bunch of skinny kids. I don't know where he's getting that from. Seems to me his audience is a vast array of people who just want to learn the proper way to build muscle and lose fat. But according to him, it's just a lot of skinny kids.
5'10", and they weigh 160 pounds. They're skinny. You're not going to recomposition that guy. He is going to have to gain weight. He's going to have to go from 160 probably to 170 to gain 10 pounds of muscle. Okay? In his first year, he's probably going to want to gain 20 pounds of body weight. He may look leaner as a result, but he can't stay at the same weight. You can't stay at maintenance calories and gain significant amounts of muscle, particularly if you're lean. Now, if you're fat, if he's 25% body fat, okay, you can recomposition a decent amount, but you're still going to gain less muscle than if you just gained weight. It's going to be less. Right?
So is he suggesting that if you're at 20% body fat, you should bulk and gain more body fat? Because that seems like what he just... I'll just replay that. What did he just say?
You're going to want to gain 20 pounds of body weight. He may look leaner as a result, but he can't stay at the same weight. You can't stay at maintenance calories and gain significant amounts of muscle, particularly if you're lean. Now, if you're fat, if he's 25% body fat, okay, you can recomposition a decent amount, but you're still going to gain less muscle than if you just gained weight. It's going to be less. Right? And these are facts. This is stuff I have to deal with. I make my living coaching.
So 25%. He said, if you're at 25%, it seems Jason Blaha is suggesting you should bulk and gain weight, even at 25% body fat, which Blaha himself seems to be kicking around the 25% body fat range, so maybe that's why he's suggesting it.
I deal with skinny kids too, and they have to gain weight. I had one who he was so skinny, way underweight, had a 190-pound squat. We now have him up in the 300s in less than a year. He's put on 25 pounds of body weight, and he's still relatively lean. He's in an athletic body fat after gaining 25 pounds in 9 months. That's a hard bulk. Okay, 25 pounds in 9 months is a lot. The vast majority of it's been muscle.
Right, yeah. The vast majority of 25 pounds in 9 months on a natural, I'm assuming, is muscle. This kid must be the next big thing, because he must be a genetic phenomenon, because if he's put that much muscle on as a natural in 9 months, then look out, Big Ramy, because you've got some competition.
He started so lean that he tried at a certain point, he was stuck at the same body weight. We couldn't gain any muscle. None of his lifts would go, none of his 5 rep, 10 rep sets, anything. Everything just stagnated. No progression. Had to make him eat. Okay, we had to make him eat. He had to put on 25 pounds of body weight to make gains this year. Now he's a lot bigger, a lot stronger. Because out of that 25 pounds, I promise you 20 of it's muscle.
20 pounds of muscle. He's actually saying he believes, and he's telling people that he's put 20 pounds of muscle on someone in 9 months on a natural lifter. I'm assuming he's natural. He might not be natural. Who knows? Even if he's not natural, that's a shit ton of muscle. That is a shit ton of muscle to be building in 9 months. That's a lot of muscle to be building in 2 years. For a natural, that just doesn't make any sense. He's just lying. He's gained, I would be surprised if he gained 10 pounds of muscle in those 9 months. The thing is, when you gain, especially when you've just started lifting it, when you gain weight, you can gain 2 pounds, 3 pounds of fat to every pound of muscle that you gain, and you will still look okay, because that muscle you're gaining along with the fat supports the fat in a way that makes you just look bigger, more muscular in a way. So you'll be getting bigger and looking more muscular, but you will be getting fatter. And it's very easy when you've just started lifting to confuse the extra weight with muscle until you've dieted down from that weight you've got to, and realise exactly how much of that weight was fat and was muscle. It's very, very common in new lifters. I did it. I bulked for the first couple of years of my training. I thought I was getting huge. I thought I was putting all this muscle on. And I wasn't. I was getting fat, but I looked good. I still had abs because I was growing muscle at the same time, but I was putting on a lot more fat than I thought. So you need to be careful.
He had to gain a little bit of body fat. But he's way more jacked, and he's a lot stronger. Hell of a lot stronger.
And extra fat will make you stronger. Just because you're stronger does not mean you've put more muscle on. You could stay exactly the same with exactly the same amount of muscle, put pure fat on, put 30 pounds, couple of stone of pure fat on your body, and you will be stronger in the main compound lifts, just from extra fat and cushioning and weight on your body. So the fact that you're getting stronger, or even you might have got a lot stronger with this bulk, but that doesn't mean he put shit tons. That doesn't mean he put a shit ton of muscle on. He'll put some muscle on, yeah, for sure. But 20 pounds out of 25, you're talking absolute shite, Blaha. And he knows it as well. I'm sure he's not that stupid.
At this point, I think he's now put 140 pounds on his squat. Probably similar numbers on his deadlift. This is normal. This is how it works. This is what you have to do. And you have Greg telling people otherwise. It's like, Greg, you don't even practice what you preach. You don't gain muscle. People say, what do you mean? He's smaller now than he was a few years ago. Where's the...
He's smaller now than when he was running all that gear. That's funny, isn't it? I wonder why that is. That's, I wonder why that is. I'm stumped.
Muscle growth. Okay, he admitted he used a bunch of trim when he was powerlifting. Greg was at his biggest when he was a power lifter. He had the most muscle he's ever had on his body as a power lifter. Right? Then he got beat up, busted up because he doesn't know how to train.
As far as I know, Greg has never specifically trained just for powerlifting. He's trained the vast majority of his life, and the start of his training career, he trained for size. So this argument that he was his biggest as a powerlifter, that doesn't mean anything. He built all that size through training for size. The fact that he retained it while he was training for powerlifting is of no relevance whatsoever.
He relied on genetics and drugs to get some big numbers. Now he's too hurt to even train hard, train heavy. Okay? He's way smaller while still being on stuff. He admits to being on pretty, what I would consider to be relatively hefty amounts. Not really big, but he's on a pretty good amount of stuff all the time. He's a lot smaller than he was as a powerlifter. So if he's going to say, well, you can do this, and it's like, but you don't practice what you preach, where's your muscle growth?
You can see it all in his old photos from when he was running more drugs, which helps you get to a bigger size than you can with a TRT dose, which he's on now.
You're smaller. So that's kind of the interesting point. He wants to...
Please finish your breakfast, mate. Jesus.
Tell people how to train. He wants to tell people how to train. It's fine. He wants to tell them they can gain muscle without bulking, yet the training he's doing hasn't gotten him bigger. He is smaller than 5 years ago. He is smaller than he was when he was powerlifting. Less muscle. His powerlifting training clearly made him bigger than what his current training does, or was it all the stuff?
Yeah, so we should all train for strength to get bigger then, shouldn't we, Jason? That makes sense because you see all the biggest bodybuilders in the world training like strength athletes do, training in low reps for power, don't you? That's how you get big.
He was taking. He's saying, hey, you can gain muscle without gaining body weight. You can gain muscle without gaining any body fat. Why aren't you gaining muscle, Greg? Why are you the same size? Why are you smaller? And again, people say, well...
Because he's not on as many drugs as he used to be, like I keep saying.
Well, he could be right and just not be practicing it. That's okay. But if you don't practice it, you should probably say so. But when I recommend certain things to say, hey, this is what you guys could do, I'll usually let you know it's not what I do. I have some of my clients, some of my athletes do something. I don't do it because I don't need to. It's not on my game plan. But he does all this talk, tells everyone about how to gain so much muscle, but what he's doing isn't doing anything. He's not bigger. He is smaller. He has gotten progressively smaller from years ago. He's not able to display what he preaches, even on drugs. He's not displaying what he is telling you. And you know what? What he's telling you doesn't work, particularly for natty guys. If you are lean, if you're relatively lean already, you will not gain muscle without bulking. If you do, it's going to be such an insignificant amount that it's not going to matter. You are lean and drug-free. You're going to have to gain body weight to get bigger.
As far as I know, Greg never says that you don't need to gain body weight or you shouldn't gain body weight. He says himself, if you're very lean, then you will need to gain body weight, but just don't do it excessively. There's no need to gain excessive body fat. That's what he always says. If Jason has watched a good amount of his videos, then he'd know that. He doesn't preach staying at 8%, 10%, even 12% body fat year round. That's not what he says. He said stay at a body fat that you can maintain and that is healthy for you. And if you're at a healthy body weight where you're not low on energy, you should be able to put muscle on. He's not saying you should just be able to stay at the same weight and gain muscle and get more and more and ripped till you get down to 8, 7% body fat and keep putting muscle on as a natural. That's not what he's saying. You're just grossly taking his words out of context. Obviously, you have to gain body weight at some point. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting leaner and leaner, and then you're not going to be able to put muscle mass on once you get to a certain leanness. He says this himself. At a certain low body fat percentage, you're going to find it harder to put muscle on. So he recommends staying at a higher body fat percentage. And obviously, once you've got to a certain body fat percentage through your bulk, through your lean bulk, which he advises, he just doesn't call it lean bulking, he calls it main gaining. Okay? So he does advocate bulking, just not a type of bulking that you advocate, Jason, which means putting 25 pounds on in 9 months, 20 pounds of which apparently is pure muscle, which is absolute bullshit. I don't know why you're saying that. Well, I do know why you're saying that, because it makes people want to sign up to your programs. People hear that and think, I want to put 20 pounds of muscle on in 9 months. When they can't. I know they can't. Greg knows they can't. He's not going to tell people they can put 20 pounds of muscle on in 9 months.
Okay, and it is that simple. That is a fact. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.
So, there you go. That's why I wanted to do a video on this video, because there's a lot of things in there that I wanted to clear up. There's a lot of misinformation, and I'm not sure what else to say, really. He only ended up having a couple of bites of his cereal, or whatever it was. I don't know what he was eating. So I might as well have just saved it till the end of his video, to be honest. It was just sat there, it's probably gone mushy. Anyway, I hope that was informative. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time.